I was like, look, I'll make it simple for you. If you compare my undies to your undies, yours, you're gonna have some weird. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Unleash Potential podcast. I'm here once again, another week with the colleagues, and we're here to tackle another topic for you guys, our listeners, our viewers. How's your week, guys, this week? What's been happening?
It's been alright, man. Productive.
Yeah?
It's been a bit of a steady flow.
Yeah.
That's it for me, man. It's been a very, very quick week for me.
We had a public holiday on Monday, right? It was this Monday.
Not for me. I was working. Last Monday, yeah.
That's the benefits of working on a salary and not shift work, you know.
No, I'm on salary too, but I can. It's part salary, part not.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can work on public holidays because the company is actually closed only on Christmas Day throughout the whole year. Only on Christmas Day.
Wow.
New Year's, every other Christmas Day, and actually Easter. I think Easter Monday. Because you've got Good Friday and Easter Monday, yeah? That's how it works. Yeah. The Monday after the weekend is...
See, our company doesn't close on Christmas Day, but it closes every other public holiday.
Really? We're closed
it's
Christmas
very
Day
weird,
only.
yeah. Like, they'll have skeleton staff working. Anyways, what do you guys get up to on your...
I work.
I was working.
I'm at hospital.
Man,
I have to work, man.
I picked up an extra shift.
Monday's my day off. I picked up work on the public holiday just to work and get the extra cash. So, yeah.
What about you? You seem like you've done...
You needed that day off by the sounds of it.
Not that I needed it, but I loved having the option to have it, you know? It was it raining? I can't remember. Was
Monday
it raining on
was not raining.
It wasn't raining, yeah?
Monday was not raining.
It was raining the other day, man.
You know, every time we sit here and try and discuss about what we got up to the past week, I always find it hard to try and, like, so much goes on, you know, and it's hard to sort of pinpoint, like, the highlights of the weekends, because I don't live solely just for the weekends. And so I try to enjoy at least something out of each and every day. That's why when you're like the weekend, I'm like, man, what do I get up to on the weekend?
But the public holiday was on a weekday. So what did you do?
Yeah, it was on a Monday, yeah.
It was a long weekend.
Man, honestly, I can't even remember.
Did you go anywhere? Did you do anything?
I think I need to start doing some memory exercises.
You do, man. Start writing things down.
What about you?
I was working, man.
I'm not surprised. I think the viewers will be just as surprised as us if they do hear that you've had a day off.
I do have a day off, man.
When you're sleeping, you said, but no other time off.
I normally Fridays, I like to have Fridays off. Jummah, you know? Go to mosque after
I used to have Fridays off as well, but then I started working Fridays, but I take the gap. Because what I do is I work about half an hour extra every day. So I take a 2.5 hour lunch break on Friday. So I go to because the nearest Musalla is like a bit out of my way. So I'll go pray, have lunch, and then come back.
It's the struggle.
How many Muslims in your workplace, you know? Roughly? Like, is there enough to sort of set... Six. So that's enough to actually set up a little... Jama'ah by yourselves.
Yeah, no.
But
we all travel down anyway. We travel together.
It's
so
nice.
One week every week it's somebody's turn to drive.
Yeah.
And now what we're starting to do is every week 2 people shout lunch. So since there's 6 of us, pairs of 2. So 2 people shout the other 4, and then next week it's another 2 that shouts the other 4. Gives you a bit of a break, and you're not coughing up a meal for 6 people.
Is that the Muslim brothers at work?
Yeah, at work on Fridays.
Until someone calls in sick and that whole plan goes.
Pay ID.
Fair enough.
You've missed. Unless you're given notice, then somebody else takes your turn and you take their turn. But if you just rock up sick on the day, you pay ID or your part. The thing is surprising. The guys that I work with, some of them I actually went to high school with, and you might know some of them, and the other ones, mashallah, we've become just more than colleagues. I think it's just we connected through Islam. We're into the same sort of things. We've got a lot of things in common, so we're like friends now. Like, so sometimes after work on a weekday, one of the boys will be like, "Hey man, let's pass a kebab store on the way back." I'm shouting at the boys. We'll go sit down. 2 hours will go past. We finish work at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. We leave the kebab shop 2 hours later, just having a chat about anything and everything. You know what I mean? So alhamdulillah, it's pretty good.
Mashallah, that's a beautiful connection between you and the Muslim brothers at work, man. And that brings us to our topic today, growing up as a Muslim. And as we all know, all of us sitting here are Muslims, you know. Alhamdulillah. We're in a country like Australia where I think what's the percentage of Muslims here?
Probably less than 5%.
Less than 5%.
I'm not sure.
No, I'm not
I'm
sure.
not too sure either.
But
I
anywho,
think it was more than 5, but
well,
Well,
Muslim
what's the population of Australia in
it's
general?
like
25 million.
25
I think
million,
there's about
just shy of 30 million. Yeah.
Just about a million.
I think
Or
there's
underneath.
under a million Muslims.
No, because I know there's about 500,000 Lebanese Muslims in Sydney alone. In South Wales.
So at least,
Yeah, and 95% of them live in Auburn and Bankstown.
Yeah, and-
They all live there. So they make up half of the million.
Yeah.
And then I think we can scrap together about another million throughout the rest of Australia.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were saying?
Yeah. So what is that? 1 million out of 20, what? 5 million?
25.
It's a big number,
a good-
especially
yeah.
for a country like
Australia. That's still new and growing as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, as all of us, well, most of us, you grew up in New Zealand, but you're Australian now, but
He hails from so many different places.
But
Don't
still-
worry
Yeah,
about
don't worry.
but still, Australia and New Zealand is the same thing.
Yeah.
We
Wow,
grew
you
up in.
offend a lot of people just saying
It's
that.
similar.
it's the same
It's
thing,
not
bro.
the
Trust
same.
me, there's a lot of
But
yeah,
let's
You're
not
offending
let's
us.
not, let's not
We're-
get into that.
I don't
We're
know.
a bit of a higher.
Oh, it's the same thing. They're like fish and chips,
Hang
meat
on,
pies.
Who's offended? Yeah,
I'm not
understand.
offended, but I'm saying
I'm not
he
offended,
offended
man.
You
some
better
people.
not be offended. What's wrong with New Zealand?
No, I'm offended that he's trying to hold New Zealand to our standards.
They're the same thing, man. It's the same thing. Look at the flag, man. The only difference is the red. What?
Exactly.
No, it's the extra star.
Man, what extra star? Is there
It's
extra
the
star?
same.
There's an extra star.
Oh,
Same with
so
the
what on the
British
Southern
flag
Cross
and
is
ours,
that?
man.
They tried to copy the Australian one, but the guy that was designing was cross-eyed and we saw an extra star. They put up another note there. Anyways, go
I
on.
think it's the extra star. That's
Nah,
what-
no way.
Yeah,
No
if
way.
you look at the two flags, I think Australia has one extra star.
Nah, I don't think so, man.
I think we do.
Because the stars
we
are
do.
the Southern Cross. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's like 5, 6 stars.
Habib, I can just Google it if you guys want now.
No, let's just go.
Bro, it's alright. Anyway, man, we're
anyway.
getting
Go
off
on.
topic.
Don't worry about the flag.
Yeah, alright.
Still, Australia and New Zealand, the same thing. As we grew up in this first world developed country environment, let's get on to topic, guys. We grew up as Muslims, yeah?
Yeah.
So I want to know you guys' experience growing up Muslims, you know,
What, like stories and
story, everything, the whole shebang, man. Give me
Ooh, man.
good intake.
Bro, I was just telling you, growing up Muslim, to the point where I'm at now. Like,
Yeah.
you meet somebody, and just because you guys are Muslims, you guys would have gone through a lot of things that are sort of similar, and that automatically gives you the opportunity to connect.
What are you even talking about? You're talking about Friday
Yeah,
prayer.
Friday prayer, like the boys right now, like just because we're Muslims, we grew up Muslim, or we are Muslims, you connect a lot. You know what I mean? But I reckon growing up Muslim in an ethnic background as well, like I think it's just I wouldn't give it up for anything. Man.
No, man.
It was just too
Too
awesome.
much fun.
Just-
Oh yeah. Have
There's
you ever
just
had?
so
have you
many
ever
ways
had,
you can take it, man.
What was it? Excursions or the ones you go to other schools and you see how the other
Yeah.
schools do and stuff like. Because I know the three of us were in a Muslim school,
Yeah.
and we went to the other schools. We were like, man, if I was in the school, I'll be bored
I'll be
day
bored.
one, man. Like, what do they do here? It's like they actually go to class. They pay attention. You know, it's just so everything's routine and slowed down, and it's so different. I would say like they don't have the same kind of like horseplay for us is standard. You know, like if we go to recess and lunch, you see people wrestling. They're not fighting, they're wrestling. You go to the other school, someone touched the other person's pen, they're crying, they're like, you know what I mean? But they have that different sense of boundaries and it's a whole different sort of like...
One
challenges.
experience that I think most Muslims growing up, regardless of what your culture, your background is, one thing that a lot of people you experience or you go through growing up. Every culture, every language has their own word for it, but it's way like for us it's duksi, where you go and learn your Quran, the Quran,
Yeah.
and the experiences you have there, the beatings you cop,
Oh, yeah.
the beatings you cop.
Oh yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like in the moment you're just like, man, I want to get out of this. You grow up, you're like, yo, that made me
Stronger,
better,
yeah.
gave me discipline.
Better.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's to a certain extent because
Oh,
now
yeah,
there's
of course.
a few people that sort of abuse that
Nah.
power. But you know, just even having the luxury of the duksi or having
Yeah.
that little, because you see it as like a community as well.
Exactly.
Not only like you going to a place to learn and educate yourself about your religion, but also your culture and your, you know, and being amongst people who are exactly like you. So for us, when we were growing up, like our family was one of the very few people that sort of migrated to New Zealand from Ethiopia, right?
Yeah.
And one of the very few Muslim Ethiopians that migrated there as well.
Yeah.
So it was very hard for us to find people who are, you know, of the same culture, of the same religion, and of the same ethnicity. So a lot of the people there were the Orthodox Christians.
Yeah.
So we tend to, you know, like stay within their community because we share the same cultures, the same. The only thing that's different is just the religion. So the religion was sort of kept a bit separate from them. And to try and make the religion flourish within like our family, what we had to do was sort of just establish a little duksi, what you call it, or like a little Quran class. So our family, and it started with my grandfather, who basically just had a whole bunch of other people who knew a little bit of the Quran. And we started in a garage, man. Literally a garage, the garage of my auntie. Till this day, when I drive by and I actually see it, I'm like, man, I remember the fun that I had there. I swear to God.
See, I had the exact same. I had the exact same version of that here in Perth. We, like, our family came down here late 90s, 96, 97. We came here. And then we moved into the house that my dad and them lived in for like 16 years. And my dad used to teach me in our living room. And I remember till this day, I don't want to mention names, one of my mates, now good mates of mine that we grew up together, his mum came over to visit us for the first time. They walk in, she sees me reading to my dad in the living room. Automatically she tells her son, go sit down and read.
Straight. I love it.
It's the last time he came back to my house. It's the last time he came back. Till this day.
You're a terrible host,
He hasn't come back. No, but he came. The next week, 3 other ladies are already bringing their kids. All very good friends of mine that we grew up together, all around the same age, in my living room. When we hit about 6 of us, Al Hidayah in Bentley. It had a little Islamic school. It had a little musalla. It transitioned there till this day. The teachers have changed. Till the teachers have changed. The students have grown. My age. So now you got kids. I'm talking about 40, 50.
Formal. Like you didn't sit down together and say, "Look, let's establish something."
It was that one auntie that just saw me reading to my dad. Told her son to sit down and read with us. Next week,
happened gradually.
She just told 3 aunties. 6 kids came. The next week, straight to Al Hidayah. Till this day. Like now it's a proper established Quran class. You know, you've got registrations, the parents help support. You've got actual teachers that come week in, week out. You know, they hold Quran competitions. It's grown so big. I moved from Perth 2009 to go to Sweden. I went to Sweden for 2 years. I came back. I stayed here for 2 years. And then I came to Sydney for 3 years. So that's all up, 3 to 7 years. I haven't seen the brothers that I went to Duxie with. When I came back from Sydney, I ran into the brothers. The first thing, brother, do you remember Duxie in your house? Like it's
memories.
So memories.
Yeah,
it's part of growing up.
Exactly.
It's part of growing up, as well as like growing up Muslims. Duxie was very important. In terms of, you had to learn the Quran. Growing up Muslims, one of the greatest things that a lot of parents try to teach you growing up is your Quran, memorization, and further on. So Duxie is a big part of, like I said, a lot of Muslims, regardless of where they're from.
The thing is, like, what makes us sort of hold on to that and establish a place where we can actually educate ourselves about our culture and our religion is usually if you're coming from like a different country and you're immigrating into a Western society, because it's the only things that hold you and remind you back of your home country. So you hold on to that, and when you come here and you don't find it, you're like, I better start one for the benefit of my family and the other people.
Exactly.
But what happens when it's someone who's, in the case of Almi, who's just lived here all his life? Like, what is your stories? Like, do you have those Duxies and you feel like, it's definitely part of my childhood?
Definitely, man. I remember, but I've had good and bad memories like of Duxie, you know? Because I remember...
He got some bad. He got some bad.
Let's start with the bad.
Obviously, like, you know, primary school, kindergarten, you grew up with this guy, Jabbar here. We started like, you know, kindergarten, same school. I remember we used to have like Quran Arabic classes. Remember those teachers?
Yeah.
As soon as Arabic classes, they used to get Arabic teachers that never spoke in English, just straight Arabic. I used to tell them, brother, toilet? Yeah, let me go to the toilet. I never used to come back till the class is finished. But to today I regret, because you're stupid and naive when you're young, you know?
Yeah.
So I could have learned Arabic when I was younger, but I know how to read it. As you get older, you learn more. Then once I went to high school, I remember, yeah, man, my mom took me to this Sheikh, Hafidh, another name for him. His house, he was Pakistani. This guy had an amazing voice. When he read the Quran, like you'd want to cry, like so deep. But I used to call him Sheikh UFC, you know?
UFC?
Sheikh UFC, yeah.
Why?
Because he used to sit down, you have to cross your legs, sit in front of him, you have to like memorize like 10 ayahs, you know? And you had to, 10 ayahs, he gave for the day, yeah?
Okay.
And then, or for the week, you memorize it.
I just know the story coming through.
You don't get it right with the right tajweed, right? Boom! You used to hit you one hit. No. I was like 15, 16. You can take the hits, you know? You used to hit me. I used to be like, oh man, it was good. It was good.
But
listen,
no. Just for
Sheikh UFC. Come on, man.
Sometimes he used to bring out.
What do you have to do
Sometimes
to maintain that?
He comes in with shorts, you know what I mean, bro?
He doesn't come with shorts. He used to wear
ring
commies.
music when he comes in, everything now.
No, it was really good now. But the good thing about the Sheikh, he really taught us discipline when it comes to Quran, you know? That you can't muck around, you know? You have to read it the right way to read, because if you read it to read differently, it changes the meaning, you know? I was very strict about that, but it was good fun, yeah.
We went to a Muslim school. We grew up in a Muslim school together. I followed through with that through high school and graduated. You went to a non-Muslim school afterwards, so you would have seen the changes early on. It's a different culture, man. It's an absolute different culture, because obviously I went primary school, Muslim school, and then after that I went to non-Muslim school. Man, it's a different culture, man. Different culture, because obviously, you know, we're boys, man. You know, when we go out like a Muslim school, the girls wearing skirts and then they're wearing scarves, everything covered. Man, when I went to non-Muslim school, my eyes opened up, man, to another world, bro. I've never seen. Man, they're wearing skirts up to here. Oh, subhanallah, but
the battleground.
It's a battleground.
Different.
Bro, as a Muslim, you have to be strong.
Now you're putting it to the test.
Like, you have to be strong.
What you learned, what you actually believe. Now you actually.
Yeah, alhamdulillah to the the teachers and my peers and my parents as well, that taught me the right way in Islam. I kept,
because we have special times for prayer. You know,
it's very tough, especially in a non-Muslim school. It's very tough. I remember Dhuhr, like, because that's the midday prayer. You know, sometimes I used to pray, sometimes I never used to pray. Then my mom used to ask me, "Did you pray?" Yeah. I prayed.
And there's no.
But I was like,
right?
But there's no check. But the thing is, it's that struggle, you know.
Because he
hasn't maintained.
It's that struggle, you know. And then after school, you go. The good thing was after school, most days I used to go to madrasa, you know, and then that'll bring you back.
You know, growing up Muslim as well. Like me and Jabbar went to, like we said, for me, I don't know, primary school as well. Muslim?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, primary and high school was Muslim school, right? Things like your Dhuhr prayer, you know what I mean? The whole school gets together, you pray, it becomes the norm for you. That's already preparing you for your life ahead. Like, it's normal to pray where you are. It's normal to stop your day, class stops, lunchtime stops, prayer kicks in, right? After prayer, you, as a whole school, you recite the du'as after prayer, and then the principal or whoever, the imam, will give a little talk, and then you go about your day, you know what I mean? And that sets you up. You finish high school, you're like, okay, something's missing in my midday. What's going on?
It's not even that. Assembly.
You know what I mean? Assembly.
First thing we do when we get into school is we have an assembly every day, the whole school, and we're going through. We read Ayatul Kursi, we do the 99 names. We'll actually, you know what I mean.
You'll make prayers for the day.
Yeah. So you talk about starting the day off right. Imagine waking up, getting ready, going to school, and before you even start your first class, whatever it is, the whole school together is in unison, you know what I mean?
I think the other thing that it's established within you guys is something that you guys don't necessarily see is the fact that you guys being amongst a whole bunch of people makes you a little bit more comfortable to be able to just get up and start praying. Like, you're not seen as the odd one out.
100%.
Me growing up in New Zealand, I went to a public school, and I had a whole bunch of Somali friends, a whole bunch of Ethiopian friends, I had even some Indians and some, you know, Fijian Indians and different nationalities, right? Afghans and mashallah, they were really good Muslims. Yeah. But when it came to dhuhr, if they're on the basketball court,
that's it.
That's it. And the struggle that we had was that we had no place to pray. Yeah. So what we did was, look, we said, me and I think it was another 3 other Somali guys. Yeah. And mashallah, I really love the Somali people, especially when they're young. They can literally do anything and everything, but the one thing they won't ever forget or stop is their salat. They would hold on to that, right? Mashallah. So I got around the Somali people a lot more, and I asked them, you know, I said to them, guys, we should at least sit down, try and find a place to pray. Why don't we ask some of the teachers? So they said, all right, I know one teacher that will do this. He might let us, you know. I'm like, all right, it's worth a ask. So we went to go and look for him. We couldn't find him. So I'm like, all right, let me ask my teacher just to see if he'll allow us. So we went as a group. Because sometimes if you go as one person,
it'll be like,
you feel a little bit like, you know. But when you go as a group, you've got that extra support.
Exactly.
Right? So I went to my home teacher, and it was a science class. Now I said to him, listen, during lunchtime, the class is vacated. Everyone's outdoors. What we want is we just want 10 minutes where us boys, and there's this many of us, we can even give you the names or whatever, you know, just so you know who's actually been in and out, right? We come inside, we just want to pray. And the reason why we said the science one was because they had taps there. So we didn't have to go anywhere. We can make wudu
2 steps ahead of the system, man.
And all we needed to do was just get towels, just to make sure that we can wipe it up, right? So he said, yeah, no problem, you can have it. From that day, you know, it just opened up. Now the other struggle we had was we had to get the boys from the basketball court to come to Salah. One more shot, just one more shot. Wallah, wallah, just one more shot.
You love that stuff.
Wallahi, there was a mission. Eventually, we got them to come, right? And then we started to notice a lot more people coming. So now the science class teacher basically said, look, I can't let this many people come into the class. It's a safety hazard. Because it's a science class, there's a lot of chemicals and so on. We said, all right, now we need to up it. We need to go speak to the principal or the dean. We went and spoke to the dean. We said, look, we've got this many people that come regularly. A teacher gave us a classroom. Are you able to provide a place? And she said, look, I'm not able to provide one, but if any teacher does allow you, I'm happy to approve it. We said, all right, that doesn't really help us because we actually need to find someone. But then she gave us a suggestion. She said, why don't you go and speak to the Maori teacher? So the Maori is basically the indigenous people of New Zealand. And what they had was they had this little marae, which is like an indigenous kind of like a meeting center, right? And they also had the keys and the control of the swimming pool.
Okay.
And within that swimming pool, there was they had the marae school, which was right next to the swimming pool. So we said, that might actually be a good idea. So we went and spoke to the marae teacher, and we said, listen, we'd like a place to pray. That classroom where you teach Maori language is vacated during lunchtime. Can we use it? He said, absolutely. Just come here. I'll leave the key if I'm not here, but come here, knock on this window. We'll give you the key and you can use it. We said, look, we need a place to be able to, you know, make our wudu and so on, you know, and wash our face and feet. And he said, yeah, you can use the swimming pool. I said, all right, no problem. So we went and we started using that. Till this day, I think it's still being used, right? That classroom.
MashaAllah.
But the one time, and this is what I really liked, was the fact that it got to a point where we got comfortable to pray in front of people, right? And the one time where the Maori teacher wasn't there, we couldn't have access to the key. Some of us had wudu, right? Or we just used the taps in the bathroom, we just made wudu. And we actually prayed outside. People were actually walking around. Now, you might not realize the feeling of actually praying in front of random people. Right now, alhamdulillah, growing up at this age, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm comfortable, I'm secure. But as a young teenager, where you seek the approval of your peers, it's very hard to, and especially someone who's come from a different country,
to stand up
and pray in front of people, because then you're going to get a whole bunch of questions, and you might not have the knowledge to back it up.
Now, but see, mashallah, now you've developed the ability to pray wherever you're at. You're able to pull over to the side of the road and pray wherever you can. I remember just recently when I got married, me and my wife, we're on our way to, we left Dubai. We left Sweden. We are in Germany on our way to Spain. The salah hits. So the way we're supposed to combine Dhuhr and Asr.
Yeah.
And the German airport, we couldn't find the Musalla area. Well, we just found a little corner. People walking behind us. Well, I just prayed. By the time I said salam, there's a group of people sitting here, a group of people standing there, just watching. Us. And then some people come and ask questions, and actually, we didn't have enough time. We had to go board. I had to cut the conversation short. But they ask you questions. What is this you're doing? Da da da. You know, it's a form of da'wah. You know what I mean? And that comes like you said, stems from the beginning. If you weren't shown that it's okay, or didn't have to develop
struggle for it
exactly in the beginning, you wouldn't be able to do it now. I want to ask you as a question: growing up Muslim, could be growing up Muslim / in an ethnic family. Discipline. Did you find it? Because now when you talk about it, especially to either non-Muslims or like, for example, Australians, their form of discipline versus our form of discipline is very different. Yeah. Do you reckon ours worked?
Yes and no. So for me, it worked
to a certain point.
Yeah. I know for some of the people that were in my Quran class, it didn't work.
Yeah.
This one person in particular specifically said to me, the reason why I read with your grandfather is because he doesn't hit me.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't physically or verbally abuse me.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Now this teacher might not see it as abuse. He might just see it as a way of correcting this person.
Yeah.
But to this child, it's something completely different. They get put off by the Quran.
Yeah.
And like I said, nowadays a lot of people tend to overdo it. To the point where they're physically and verbally abusing them. To the level where it's against the law as well.
It's not
against the law.
It's beyond trying to
see, and that's what I try to get to. As a parent, nobody loves your child more than you, right? Unless you are something else, right? And that's where abuse and all that comes in. My uncle, I went to Kenya when I was 14 years old for the sole purpose of learning Quran as much as I can in 1 year. I was doing school there as well. My dad told me, look, change of environment, go back, learn some Quran, do your school on the side, and come back. Mind you, before that, for about 10 years, I was reading Quran with my dad. I memorized 4 juz, and by recitation, I hit 10 juz. So that's chapters, and as you know, there's 30 chapters in the Quran, right? So I memorized 4 chapters, and I've read 10 chapters. And my dad was very strict. His discipline wasn't over the board. It was manageable, right? It was, but I don't know what it was, right? That's all I managed to achieve. I went back. I was living with his brother, my uncle, my dad's brother. On the first day, he threatened. He threatened me. It was a threat of what he would do if I didn't come prepared, didn't give him what he want. The fear,
just of the threat.
Yeah, of that threat. I memorized 15 chapters in 1 year.
MashaAllah.
It took me 10 years to memorize 4 chapters.
But you didn't develop the love for it.
No, I learned out of fear, right? Yeah. When I grew older and I came out, I was like, okay, regardless of what I'd learned it, how I learned it, I love it now. But I'm saying, sometimes you don't necessarily have to go through with it. You know what I mean? Like,
it's just the look.
You know what I mean? It was a psychological thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
that's the
thing. There's I think discipline all around that we went through, and like you said, sometimes it goes overboard. But then that's also comes with growing up as a Muslim, as an ethnic. I don't know if it's a Islamic thing or an ethnic thing. I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah, I think it is a bit of both.
Yeah.
Well, did you have a couple of stories that you wanted to share?
Not any stories that will get other people in trouble. There's plenty that will get people in trouble. But what I wanted to know is another big one is I'm a big food guy. And finding halal food is a struggle sometimes, you know what I mean? There's literally been times where,
he's licking his lips already. Yeah,
I'm hungry, man.
That's a big thing when I go on vacation. Like, that's a big thing. I will look at what's to eat.
So not even that, even when you're growing young, when you're growing up, when you're young, and you ask your mom and dad, hey, Mom, Dad, can we go get McDonald's? Can we go get this?
Tell
you, no, it's not halal. No, it's not halal. No, it's not halal. Like, how do you feel as a child, as opposed to your friend that's now going anywhere? You know, he's getting the Happy Meals. You know, he's collecting all the toys at McDonald's.
Okay, so for me, my parents didn't necessarily care that much whether it was halal or not, as long as it wasn't bacon.
Yeah.
Okay. This is I'm talking about when we were first new to New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
When we were new to New Zealand, that whole idea of is this halal haram was like secondary priority. It wasn't, you know, the most primary thing that
we were looking at.
Are you talking about food you buy or eating out?
Obviously eating out, like would go to Macca's and just have like a Big Mac or
just have
whatever. And I was young back then, you know, and we were taught just say Bismillah. You know? I actually lived by it, right? Up until the age where I was conscious or able to think and say to myself, okay, is what I'm eating actually acceptable to me? You know, am I actually okay with eating it? So it got to a point where I was like, you know what? No, this is not halal. And then my parents also reached that stage as well. It was kind of like we gradually sort of, you know, grew and said, okay, no, we need to start making wiser decisions, you know? And it just comes from being new to the country and not knowing which is halal. And honestly, when we were fresh, new to New Zealand, there wasn't that much options.
Same with us.
But now there's just so many. Like,
so you don't know the struggles of looking at the back of a lolly packet that you really want to see if the gelatin in it.
That was my dad.
Like who at that level where every lolly that came in the house is getting checked? Is it haram?
Forget the lollies.
That's crazy.
Forget the lollies. 2 months ago, I was still living with Dad before I got married. Yeah. Now, prior to that, I was living in Sydney, Sweden, all of that.
Hold
stuff,
up, I'm still on the lollies.
No,
what were you looking for?
Gelatin.
There's nothing limited.
So
I don't know what you're talking about.
Back then, you knew. No, I'm saying back then you knew.
There's even a specific
no,
number.
Parents.
Bro, the numbers, that's what I was about to bring up.
There's even a specific number next, before you get to your story, there's even a specific number next to where it says gelatin to see where that gelatin sourced from, a vegetarian source or a meat source.
I know that just recently, right? But what I'm saying is back then, growing up, your parents knew that. Like
back then, I would pick up a lolly at the shopping center.
319, put it down.
Put it back down.
MashaAllah.
Gelatin 319.
The awareness was really good, that means.
2 months ago, I was living with Dad. I buy this yogurt that I've been buying for years. Yeah, I've been eating, it's yogurt. I never really thought to check yogurt. I've been buying it.
Animal fat.
I pour myself a nice big serving. I'm about to enjoy it. I've been looking forward to it.
Yep.
My dad sees me opening the container. He left it in there so that he can tell me. He didn't want to just throw it out. You know what I mean? So he left it in there. He waited. I served it. He's like, do you know what you're eating? I said, yeah, it's yogurt. It's normal. He said, look at the ingredients. I skimmed through. I'm like, yeah, nothing. Because I've already programmed my head that there's nothing in it. And then he's like, animal fat, gelatin. I looked at it. This is 2 months ago. My heart hasn't been broken like that in a very long time. You know what I mean? I haven't lived with that for a long time. I've passed through the stage where my lollies would get put back.
Did you see the way he said my heart hasn't been
Hasn't been broken that bad.
Alhamdulillah, I don't like yogurt that much. I prefer Greek yogurt.
No, but it's
alright.
What brand was it?
It's about, I think it's the
Yoplait ones probably.
Yes, I think. With
the PSA announcement. Be careful for those.
Something like that.
You know what I mean? So it's like he would look through it. You know what I mean? Like even as a kid, your lollies.
Yeah,
the
very
snakes,
intentional about the food they eat and the decisions that they make.
So like me growing up, like McDonald's, all these things was like no. That's why I remember the first time I left with Dad. We went to Malaysia in 2008 together, and then we landed at the airport, and like there's all these fast food restaurants, Burger King, ones that we haven't heard of here in Australia. And they said, look, we're here for a month. Eat where you can. This country, it's all halal. It's Malaysia. Went to Malaysia.
Bro, your eyes must have lit up.
I told him I want a burger from Burger King. I want McDonald's. I want Hungry Jack's. Doesn't matter. I'll finish it all. That month, wallah, it was beautiful. My dad was talking to me recently. He was thinking of moving over to Sydney for a few other reasons, but amongst the smaller ones was they brought up was like the variety of halal food as opposed to here. You know what I mean? It's like, how do we feel as parents when your child asks you, can I go get McDonald's? And you have to say no, and you see that this child doesn't really understand why you're saying no, and they feel the rejection. You know what I mean? So it's like, wallah, it's difficult, both as a child and as a parent, because you don't want to say no to your child for simply no reason. You know what I mean? And they're not at that stage or at that age where they can comprehend that this is haram, you can't eat it. You know what I mean?
Did you have that struggle though growing up in Sydney? Because I know Sydney now they have a variety
He grew
of
up here.
halal
I
food.
grew up here.
You grew up here.
Yeah,
before.
it's different.
You know the
bro.
funny thing?
I thought he grew up
He
in Sydney.
grew up
once.
here. I grew up here too since I was 3.
Yeah.
I met him about 3 years ago at your wedding. It's the first time I met him.
Nah, we knew each other. We met each other before
I've
that.
never met you before that.
Yeah, we
I've
met
known
each
this
other
guy
before
since
that.
that.
kindergarten and same as this guy.
Yeah.
I've known this guy since we
He
were
was a
baby
mutual link.
kids. And I've known him since we were baby kids. And then only met 3 years ago.
I've met him 3 years ago. I've never seen you.
Oh, nice to meet you, mate.
Our parents knew each other. Our parents knew each other.
yeah.
He came to my house just recently, and I was introducing him to my
He was
dad.
probably trying to stay away from your house. See, that's how he ran away from his wife.
Exactly.
Nah, growing up, man, it's alright. Like, normally my family, we never used to eat out that much. Very, like, traditional, you know? Everything was all at home. Eat everything home food.
For us, it was the same, but I think the traditionality also comes from not having a big variety to go and eat out too.
Yeah. But here's the thing, when you got older, and like you say, you did travel and I started eating all the burgers and all that sort of stuff, you just want to go straight back to the home cooking anyways. You're like, I don't
Home
wanna look
cook
at
was always the
burgers,
best. Bro, I remember, like, the first restaurant, like my actual family went to, was like, I think when after I finished high school or something like that. I can't remember, man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, man, we
Crazy.
never went as a like family to like a restaurant to go eat. Like, it was very traditional. We eat everything at home, man.
Yeah.
Like, you
Which
know,
is good.
which alhamdulillah, which is really good.
What about
but
times like when you just want pizza or you want,
yeah,
certain things like
pizza,
that?
small things like I meant pizza, but we only used to get pizza vegetarian, like, or cheese and pineapple, something like that. It was very limited. But I remember,
So the parents were away.
They were.
as they were, kebab shops every now and then. But as the years progressed, as we grew older, like as the Muslim community, became, population expanded. I remember one of the first halal Macca's joint, Malaga. Man, I remember once they went halal. I think I heard a rumor they were one of the busiest markets for about 1 or 2 months in the whole of Australia.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The thing about
That seems true.
I've
I'm
realized
like,
like
why haven't they adopted it now?
with the Australian businesses, a lot of the like restaurants and all that, if they actually go halal, that would make a lot more money.
Question.
You know?
Yeah? A bit off topic. I was having this discussion with my dad. I was telling him about the halal McDonald's, right? And he asked me a question. Till this day, I couldn't answer. Maybe you guys can help me answer it. He said, look, McDonald's said they go halal, right? They sell bacon. That's all.
Yeah, true.
How can you clarify to yourself that it's
not
being cooked on the same
cross-contaminated.
thing?
So
how do you know all of these things?
The certificate they get for halal certificate, it's an organization that actually goes and watches the exact whole process that goes through. I know what you're saying. I know what you're
So
saying.
his counter argument
But
was
he's saying on a
That's
day-to-day
the
basis.
Somali
that certificate is on the wall.
Yeah.
When they come,
But that's
they've
it.
prepared
But
it.
that's the same.
How can you?
But that's
be
the same
guaranteed?
as any other restaurant.
Well,
you walk into a restaurant. It's a halal restaurant, a Muslim restaurant. You know it's run by Muslims,
Yes.
right? You eat there all the time.
Yes.
But the guy backstage is your brother had a fight with him. He goes, "Oh, that's Haji. I know him." And he starts slipping something. But how do you know that?
At the end of the day, it's the whole
You never
trust
know.
process.
Yeah.
And the only
No, it's two different
verification.
things,
hang on.
Your argument is
I know,
completely
yeah.
void.
So the only verification we have, and I've noticed at that Macca's, they actually have quite a few Muslims that work there. So it's not to say that we rely on them, right?
Because protocol is protocol, regardless of whether you're Muslim or not.
But look, the organization has taken it upon themselves to hold or uphold that, certificate and make sure that they are adhering to it.
Yep.
Now, if anything happens, we don't bear the responsibility because we've taken, like the due measures that we should take. Yes, the safest option is to abstain from it. But if it's made halal for you and you have an organization who claims to be that they are Muslims and you trust their decision and they trust this as being a reputable organization that can actually provide you halal food, then they've taken that responsibility on themselves.
Yeah.
And they'll get fined heavily.
You know what I mean? So, like, you should be okay with
So
actually taking
Bismillah and eat, man. it's halal, bro.
Yeah,
Mac is Big Mac, McChicken, What you want, mate?
The
Ice
thing
cream?
is, I know whenever I travel,
Yeah.
whenever I go, even as you know, just locally, if I travel locally or whatever, the first sort of few things that I tick off to try and make sure is where am I going, right? And then what is the nearest halal food?
Yeah.
Where is the nearest mosque if I can find one? Or like.
Especially when you're traveling, you try to book your hotel around
these things.
Areas,
around those areas. Like I know when I first migrated here to Perth, or even just to Sydney, I knew there was a lot of Muslims and everything. But I wanted an area where it was heavily populated by Muslims. Because I never had that growing up. That's the thing. Like I never had that growing up, and so it's not that I miss it, but I actually want it. I want to feel what it's like.
Exactly.
And then when you get a taste of that, then you can.
See, for us, is we grew around that. So when you go somewhere, you want that as well. I mean, in our situation, like in Perth.
No, Sydney, you can't compare Perth to Sydney. Sydney's on a different level, bro.
No, Sydney's on a different level. But I'm saying, like, for us, he didn't have that. We have it here. So wherever you go, you try and find a place that has that already. I mean, whereas him, he wanted to experience it. That's why he dove in deep on his own accord.
Listen, you'd be in Perth back in the days, you'd be coming from the south. Be playing soccer or something, be at the guy's house playing some FIFA or whatever it is. Take the train on the way home, stop at the train station in the city. By the time you get on the train, you got a phone call. I saw your son at the city the other day.
Oh, yeah.
He was walking at this time with this person, and like, that's it. But you don't even get home. The whole story's out.
Police.
Oh, man, that's it. Any taxi that drove past, people are diving.
The taxi,
There's one other thing I also, at the time, now it doesn't make like any difference to me, but at the time, like, I used to find really annoying, as for example, on the weekends, the families will get together, there's a barbecue, whatnot, you're playing soccer, you're in the middle of a heated game. Salah time. Cut the game short. Doesn't matter whether it's penalty kick, doesn't matter. You gotta cut the game short. As a child,
I used to hate
that.
I used to hate it too.
I used to hate it. I'm like, why?
It's 5 minutes.
But then, let's finish the game, or let's take the penalty. One of the uncles will walk in,
grab the ball.
If you hold on to the ball, he'll grab you with the ball. You know what I mean? Like Salah is Salah, you know? And as a child, I used to hate that. I used to hate you're playing your PS1, PS2 back in the day. You're playing games, and then your parents will be like, "You've played for 2 hours. That's more than enough. Go pick up the Quran and read." In that 1 hour that you're reading the Quran, there's nothing more that you hate.
Bro, my grandfather used to walk in the house. The minute he'd walk in the house, he'll sit down, ask you a bit about you, how are you, how's everything, and this. Go grab the Quran. Literally, I'm like, oh man.
For me,
it's not that I you know
what
I mean?
Like,
I'm having an okay time. I wasn't planning it, right?
I'll do you one better. For me, it was a transaction between me and my dad. Dad, can you buy me a new game? Yeah, alright, I want this many pages. Read it to me now.
See, now that's a reward and incentive
I've read my lesson for the day. It
doesn't matter, but there's a reward to it. But if somebody comes into your house, sits down, and then tells you read, and you get nothing out of it.
You get nothing out of it.
And you yourself don't value the Quran at that young, right?
Exactly.
But now, looking back, I'm like, man, I wish I can have those moments back.
We had the... Every Saturdays we go to Duxie, and it was supposed to be. I remember that one of the weeks I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get it out the way. On the Sunday, I just did everything. On the Monday, my mom asked me, "Why aren't you reading?" Like, I already done it. And she was like, nah, bring it out here, right? So I bring it out. And then with the biggest smile on my face, I read it. Done. She's like, oh, that was good. You did that in a day. Add a couple more pages. Exactly. There's no winning. Add a couple more pages.
There's no stopping, bro.
That's it. And then because then you've already planned. Like, you definitely don't have a plan. You're like, I'm gonna do this for the day. I'm gonna do this for the day.
I'll do you one better again.
Okay.
You gotta read your Quran. You gotta read your lesson. There's a reward mechanism to it. You can go see your friend afterwards. Like, I had a neighbor literally across the street. Whoever reads the Quran first would always try to get there and bail the other one out. So if I've read my lesson today, I'll try and bail him out. Like, once I come to the house, his mom will be like, alright, you can play. You can
play, yeah.
But that one time where, like, as you progress with the Quran, the more difficult it gets, right? Yeah. I remember this one time, Surah Sad, one page, the first page. It took me 3 weeks to get over it. 3 weeks, I couldn't go see anybody, I couldn't go do anything. And like astaghfirullah, but at the time I just hated every word. You don't understand you don't know what it's for. You don't understand the meaning. You're not emotionally attached to it yet. You haven't developed that love for it yet, and it's stopping you from everything that you want to do that's important to you at that age. You know what I mean? And yeah, wallah. But looking back at it now, I wouldn't change it for the world.
I think part of the reason that we sort of hated it was, I think you highlighted a really good thing, and that was you don't understand what it's saying.
Yeah.
So I used to sit down with my grandfather, right? And the times that I enjoyed reading Quran with him was the times when he would stop after like one verse and he would basically say to me, this is why it was revealed, and give me the background story, give me a little story about it. There's one time he got me Surah Yusuf and just probably half of it tried to, explain the whole story of it. I was so fascinated by it because that's how we learn. Like you have to take into account how each person learns. And a lot of the time children, they want to hear stories.
Exactly.
So you tell them through these stories. You don't necessarily tell them, do this. Like it's bad enough we go to school and come back and we have to do this as well.
Exactly.
So it's too much when you overburden a child like that. You tend to end up hating it and you get the negative result.
My dad, after 14, he used to take me with him to tafsir, the translation. And then you pick up little stories, and then so when you're reading, like you said, at the back of your head, you're like, oh, that's what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really important.
The other difference is the fact that you guys had it in the home environment. So your parents were the ones that were forcing this on you, kind of thing, That environment was there 24/7. For me, my parents didn't necessarily teach us Quran. Right? They would say, get up, pray, all of the other things. But the educational stuff, that was all from my grandparents. Right? So the only time I had access to that
is when you go visit them,
when we go visit.
Or when they come.
So it was kind of like in small doses, right? And that was good and bad at the same time because I didn't necessarily get that, that access 24/7.
For us, the other thing that used to make it a bit more difficult is Duxi is on Saturday, Sunday, right? So like, okay, my weekend mornings, I gotta get up early, I gotta go to Duxi. You've made your peace with it. When you come home, your parents want you to start preparing for next week's lesson, right? Halfway through the week, they want to check up on you, make sure that your lesson is done. The day before, they're like, okay, come read to me before you go read it to your Duxi. So like your whole week
it's
revolves around that. You know what I mean? So like, there's not a day that you get out of it. The one day where, again, growing up Muslim, Eid.
I was about to say
that's the day. No. Eid is the one day where your parents are also busy enjoying themselves, where you're just neglected. You're happy to be neglected from sunrise to sunset, even past that.
For 3 days.
Yeah.
Good.
You want to play games? You want to be out of the house? You want money? It's all yours. Twice a year, it happens. But the rest of the year, you gotta put up with
You
it.
two went to non-Muslim school, so for us, when we're doing Ramadan, it's everyone's fasting. Like everyone's, you know what I mean? So imagine you guys have people eating in front of you.
It's not the eating because you get used to that after that.
It's chicken during Ramadan, boy.
You know what it is? You know what it is? It's the questions that you you want some? Why are you fasting?
Why can't you have it?
Why can't you eat this? Why can't you? So you mean it? You know
so
what I mean? Like,
bro, that's nothing, man.
Bro, the question, and you're fasting, you're like, I don't have the energy. I just don't have the energy.
You don't realize?
And the thing is, you explain to one person, you actually find the energy to explain to one person.
There's another
2 minutes later, there's somebody else.
For me, it's different, bro. When I was in primary school, man, I was cheeky, bro. I was cheeky. Because we're Muslims, as you're young, you haven't hit puberty. I was a cheeky little fella, I used to be this big smart ass. We used to fast all day at school, I used to come home, alright?
Grab some food, run to the bathroom.
I used to have a shower. I used to drink the water from the shower, right? I was in the shower. And the thing is, because my house,
the only one shower every day at school.
Every day at school, I used to have a fat shower.
I've never thought of that.
Man, I was doing this, bro. Trust me.
Like, still, it just doesn't.
I used to have cold water showers, but anyway.
Like it doesn't taste as.
Because we used to have 2 fridges in my house, one in the kitchen and one in the garage. That was where all the drinks and stuff were, like, because my mom used to prepare all the sambusa and stuff and put all the fridge in the garage. And I used to go in the garage. Act like I was getting something from the car, right? Or getting something from the garage. I have a beautiful feet there, man. Make sure I clean up. I used to check the car mirror, man. Just everything's all up me. And go back to his house.
But
that's primary school. Iftar I used to eat. But that was primary school, obviously. you're young, you're naive, you know. As I went to high school, and you know, puberty kicks in, you're more mature, and yeah, I fasted a lot better then. But while I was younger, man, what's fasting, bro? After what? School's 3:30. We used to finish what? 3:30. I used to go home by 4.
Yeah, back then when we were younger,
Yeah, man.
Like Ramadan used to last a lot longer.
Yeah.
Each day was a lot longer.
Because
Like Maghrib would be around 9
But
or
you know,
something.
it's gonna come back.
I know it's gonna come back. Yeah,
It's gonna come back.
That's
But
crazy, man.
another 7-8 years.
It'll be
I'd say
alright.
so.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's gonna be like,
The longest.
because right now, my family in Sweden, they've been fasting 20 hours, 22 hours.
That's
And it's gonna get, by the time it hits 11, 12, 13 hours for us, they'll be fasting about 5-6 hours. That's how long their days.
wow.
During winter, the sun comes up at 7 in the morning and it's done by 2:30 in the afternoon.
That's crazy. So we need. I might go to Sweden now then. 5-6 hours. That's doable, man.
I know someone that used to just go back home, like to Ethiopia, just
Yeah?
every Ramadan, because they would have that company, they would have
But
that
then-
luxury, and then
but
yeah,
the
they
longer
get
the
you
most
fast,
out of
more
it.
you-
they get the
more
most
you
out
get.
of it. Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
man,
That's
I
true.
have a lot of growing up stories Muslim, man.
Yeah.
I'm
Throw
serious,
one
growing up.
out.
Oh
I'm
man,
gonna put you on the spot right now. I love when that happens.
Have you ever
They put
been
someone on the
caught?
spot, they
Have
forget
you ever
that.
been caught with your foot in the sink doing wudu, and they have to explain that?
By who?
Just
What do you
saying,
mean?
you just
No, no.
literally doing
I've
wudu.
got-
Your
I've got
foot's
a funny
up in the
story,
sink.
bro.
daily.
Some
I've
guy
got a
comes
funny
in.
story for you guys.
But as a kid, it's different.
That's
you
that
know?
happens.
Yeah. But now you don't care. You're just
That
like,
is
yeah.
nothing. I was at work recently.
Alright, go for it.
I'm an adult, man. I'm going to the toilet. Yeah, I went to the kitchen area, like I'm going to the toilet
With the bottle?
with the cup, with like it's about this big. But I took 2 of them. I'm going to the toilet. I'm gonna be in there for a while. So I filled it up with water, and I went into the toilet, and the guy was like, "What are you doing, mate? Are you drinking water in the toilet?" I said, "Nah, man. I'll explain to you after."
and you come out with
I
one
finished
hand,
up.
you're like,
I came out with the cans, I put it in the bin. He was like, "What's going on here?" I said, "Look, listen here, man. I said, firstly, I'm Muslim, you know. I said, in Islam we teach you have to wash yourself after you go to the toilet. You have to wash in the front and the back, you know." And he was like, "Oh, okay." I said, the toilet tissue doesn't wash everything. There's always residue left behind, you know. You have to give it a good clean, mate. Then he's like, "Oh, that's actually really nice, man." I was like, "Look, I'll make it simple for you. If you compare my undies to your undies, you're gonna have some, you know what I'm saying?" Right, he started laughing, and then he understood. He was confused, you know. But that's like growing up as Muslim, as an adult, you
I had a
know.
conversation with, about that with a colleague, and he was like, "Look, toilet paper does the job." I said, "Look, if you step in
Dog poo.
dog poo, how would you clean your shoe? With water."
Yeah.
I said, if I scooped up that dog poo and put it on your arm right now, would toilet paper do the job? They said no. I said, "So how do you expect it to do the job when you go to the toilet?" I said, when you put it that way. Funny fact, a lot of people, it was big, I think, a couple of months back.
Yeah,
a lot of people and a lot of like hygiene professors and all that stuff were talking about it. Like they gotta start doing it. I remember I was listening to a lecture about this one imam, and he said he was doing a conference with a professor a hygiene professor. He said we both went to the toilet. It was like I did my istinja, cleaned myself. The toilet, the professor's non-Muslim, so he just did his thing, came out, washed his hands, you know. And then he's like, we got into an argument. I don't know what it was. And then he's like, I brought up the issue. I was like, you call yourself Professor Hygiene, but you haven't even washed yourself. How can you call yourself Professor Hygiene? You know what I mean? So it really is.
Oh, they got bidets and they got.
All it
like,
takes is
they
just
are
explaining it
changing.
to people. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's actually
that's what it
changing.
is,
That's what I do see. It's actually moving towards less toilet paper, more water. They got bidets. They got like the little sprays now, and like a lot of non-Muslim places too now.
Yeah.
It's just that
Those sprays do a
see
good
it,
job,
yeah.
man.
The crazy thing is that nowadays a lot of the stuff that we went through, the struggles, are being slowly taken away.
Exactly.
And they're sort of like now it's a lot better. It's improving. Like for example, the Duxi classes, they still happen, but now people have the luxury of just sitting down and talking to someone on Skype.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have that luxury.
Yeah.
And you've got the the halal food and stuff like that. Now it's everywhere.
They've got
now,
apps,
and
man.
Everywhere.
apps to help you locate halal food.
Yeah.
Apps to help you locate the nearest musalla, the nearest masjid. Even apps to try and connect you with some Muslims and Muslim communities. You know, But yeah, it's getting a lot easier and a lot better.
Especially here, it's actually growing as well. Because I remember I came here early 90s. When I came here, there was not... I remember, my mum even told me this. When Hajj's dad came and she saw my mum, and I was probably like 3 then. And here in Perth. And my mum said that his dad walked up to my mum and said, "You're the first lady I saw with the headscarf in all of Western Australia." Like, that's when we first moved here.
That's how they met.
That's how they met. Like, first moved here. And my mum was like, yeah, at that point, there was 2 other families here.
Wow.
Yeah. So
2 other families.
that's how they've known each other since.
We're talking about your whole area you lived in, there was no houses. There was just kangaroos running around. Like, that's how...
Yeah.
There was,
up where you lived in?
There was one halal
your
butcher.
place used to be a bushman.
Yeah, one halal farmer, one halal
Big
butcher
Indies,
where you
eh?
get all the food from. Like, that's how small it was. And now, man, people
Now
Uber
Perth is what it is.
There's like 20 different locations. Just sitting at home, you can Uber eat yourself some halal food. You know what I mean? It's changed.
Yeah, it is definitely changing.
You know, that's crazy, man. As the time progresses, you know.
Maybe the youth will have a lot more different growing up Muslim stories.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, now the room, man. They've got Unleashed Potential podcast now.
Yeah.
Got plenty of stories for them, mate.
Watch Unleashed
Hey.
Potential podcast. Yeah. Of course, definitely.
Drop us some of your stories.
Oh,
Yeah, that would be nice.
Absolutely, yeah. Would love to see.
There's actually a
and
few
hear.
people. I need them to give me the okay to tell some stories because I can't be disclosing information like
Well,
that.
just keep out the names.
Nah, they're too recognizable. If I keep out the names, you'll know them. A lot of people will know.
Yeah, but
Fair
anyway.
enough.
Hopefully, inshallah, the viewers and listeners give us their stories and we can share them.
Growing up stories.
Growing up stories as Muslims, you know, in Western societies and Muslim countries. But without further ado, we've got to get to the light-hearted segment. As my man Haj would say, I've got some trivia questions for you guys.
Oh, trivia.
Listen here.
Okay.
Let's go for it.
I'm going to ask you the question. I'm going to put my timer on my clock. On my, clock. Timer. And we're going to... And you have to answer it within 30 seconds.
Okay.
Each person?
Each person. But you guys got to give me your answer. I've got it on a piece of paper.
So we're all answering the same.
So you're gonna
question,
ask a question and we're all just gonna blurt out
Yeah,
the answer.
So first to
Just
answer.
that?
All right.
Okay.
All right. An electric train is moving at 100 kilometers per hour, right?
Yeah.
North. And the wind is blowing 100 kilometers per hour south. Yes?
Yeah.
Which way is the smoke? Which direction is
It's
the smoke
electrical.
going?
It's
There's no
electric, yeah.
smoke.
Nah, very smart. You guys on it. You guys on it.
He's like, that was too quick. Dang it.
Okay,
Next
it's
question.
gonna get harder.
Let's go.
All right.
You got 6 apples, yeah? You have 6 apples, right? You take away 4 apples, yeah? I want this guy to answer it.
Me.
How many apples
Okay.
do you have left? Be quiet.
You got 6 apples.
You took away 4. How many apples do you have?
2.
Are you sure?
No.
No.
Answer's 4, I think.
You took 4.
Ding, 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 ding.
You took
4.
So yeah.
It's in the wording, yeah?
It's in the wording.
Yeah, it's a trick question, man.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go one for you. Nah, you guys are gonna get this. I want this one. Who's on the spot today? How many times can you subtract 10 from 100?
How many times?
Can you subtract 10 from 100? Are you sure? How many times can you subtract 10 from 100? How many times can you... Tell me.
From 100.
How many times can you subtract 10 from 100? I'm not gonna...
As many times as you want.
How many...
It should be 10 times to get to zeros.
No, he didn't say to get to 0. He just said how many
As
times.
How many times can you subtract 10 from 100? It's a trick
No,
question.
Okay, hang on. No,
You
no,
can't
no.
subtract 10 from 100. No.
You can't subtract
Okay.
100 from 10.
Look at the mathematically. Look at the number 100. How many is a trick question? How many times can you
Once.
subtract? There we go.
You can. You mean
Because you've got 100.
100, take 10
away
out
10.
of it. It's just, yeah, don't worry about it.
Unless he explained it like that, I would have been like, bro, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Okay. Mary's father has 5 daughters.
His
Yeah?
father?
Who? Mo.
No.
Yeah, Mary's father has
Mary's
5
father.
daughters.
Okay.
Let's keep it Islamic. Maryam's father.
Maryam's father, yes. Sorry for the
Maryam's
viewers out there, yes. Maryam's father has 5 daughters, right? Teeny, Tuna, Tona, and Teen. What was the 5th daughter's name?
Maryam.
Ah,
Bruh.
You guys are too good, man. This is some
The one that has the normal name.
man. All right.
Taco trolley.
All right. I got one. A mute man tries to buy a toothbrush, right?
Alright.
From your local supermarket.
Yeah.
So what he does, because he's mute,
Yeah.
he imitates himself brushing his teeth, right? And then obviously they sold him the toothbrush. He's on his way. Now a blind man comes to the store, and he wants to buy sunglasses, right? So how would he imitate to the guy there to buy some sunglasses? How would he imitate?
He's blind. He can just talk.
I'm done. I'm done.
Bro,
You guys, you guys are too.
The rest of these questions.
I need to make some harder questions next week.
That was all the questions.
That was all the questions. Next week I need to make it harder.
Yeah, make it harder.
Get it harder and harder every week, yeah?
Man,
We ramp it
Let's
up.
go.
you guys, today you guys are paying attention to my questions.
Of course,
They're all
man.
trick questions. But next week I'll have something for you guys that you make sure I'll put you guys on the rocks.
Looking forward
That's
to it.
really good.
But alhamdulillah, man, today we've covered really deep topic, you know.
It's been good.
Grown up Muslim in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah.
As you have for Muhammad
It's
Hassan.
good sometimes to let the viewers know and the
Yeah.
listeners out there that they're not the only one that have
Exactly.
struggled through this.
Exactly.
Like there's people like
There's
us
probably
as well who have gone through this.
Yeah.
A lot of people with Sheikh UFCs out there as well.
Yeah.
The Sheikh UFC fire out, man.
Just for the record, New Zealand and Australia are not the same.
Yeah.
They're not on the same level.
All right, we're gonna cut it right here.
Have a good day, guys.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
Alex Salam. Peace.